welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. This is Ben Olson. With me is co-founder of LSAT Demon, Nathan Fox, and we have an email from A here.
Says, Dear Ben and Nathan, I hope you are both doing well. Before I ask my question, I should brief you on my situation. I earned my Bachelor of Science in Business from a state university in December of 2020. I ended up with a 3.34 GPA, which would have been higher had it not been for the second semester of my freshman year. I got an F and a D in the same semester due to partying/drugs and cutting classes. You don't ever need to tell anybody that. Don't tell your therapist. Do not tell any professional contact of yours. You just, whatever. You can tell me because I'm your friend, but you don't need to tell. Just you got an F and you got a D. You don't need to tell anybody.
Drugs.
Yeah. I was also a collegiate athlete and waitressed over 40 hours a week to put myself through college. Over 40 hours a week and college and athlete.
Wow. What?
I still managed to graduate in less than 4 years, and I studied abroad my sophomore year. Boy, there's a lot there. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
It's hard to believe, yeah. Or you have a very chaotic life with no sleep.
Yeah, which indicates potentially a lack of judgment.
Sure. Yeah.
And so
like
you might think that all these things are like feathers in your cap, but if they make it look like you're just like make bad decisions,
scatterbrained,
then that's not what we're going for. So be careful about how much of that you share. After graduation, I started working as a full-time legal assistant at a mid-sized firm in a wealthy suburb. I handle insurance claims and would be very happy to practice this area of law at this firm as an attorney after school. Wow, that's a very wild shift from the drugs and the international travel and the college athlete and all this stuff, partying and whatever. And then now I practice insurance law.
Like the most mind-numbing. Yeah, cool. I'm glad you like it.
Great that you like it, though. That's the best thing you've said so far about your candidacy. That speaks volumes. I practice insurance law and I like it. I still waitress part-time. For 5 years. So my typical work week is about 60 hours. I think I would cut that stuff. I don't think I would include that part. My first question is regarding my letter of recommendation. I want to ask the owner of the firm because he has praised me on several occasions for my performance, not to mention he is an attorney. However, the district manager at my part-time job has known me for longer and appreciates my work ethic as well. Which do you think is better?
Wait, why not just get both?
Yeah, many law schools are going to ask you for 2 letters of recommendation. And if I had to pick,
I would go with the attorney.
I would go with the attorney too. Not just because of the prestige, but because you actually work in that firm and because that experience is a hell of a lot more relevant than your waitressing.
It's also current, right? I don't really care about the fact that your district manager has known you for longer. As long as the owner knows you well enough. That was my only hesitation with hearing you mention the owner. I was like, well, wait, have you worked enough with the owner that the owner knows how to talk about your work ethic and your performance? But it sounds like the owner has praised you on several, I hope that's true, occasions. And if so, great. Then the owner is qualified and current.
The whole waitressing thing, it's confusing. I feel like it would just muddy the waters. If I didn't know you at all, which I don't know you at all, why not just focus on the fact that you are currently happily a legal assistant full-time at a mid-sized law firm doing insurance claims and you want to practice in that area?
I would actually consider quitting your waitressing job.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. Like, why don't you quit that job? It's a part-time job. I understand you like these people, but you can still hang out at the restaurant.
Yeah.
You don't need another job there. Whatever, you need money, but it's not helping your law school candidacy. Let's put it that way. Also, if you have any tips on how to approach someone to do the favor of writing the letter of recommendation, that would be very appreciated.
Just give them time. So don't expect it 2 days later or a week later. Just say, hey, I'm applying to law school and I'd really love it if you could write me a letter of recommendation for the law school. Would you be willing to do that? And if there's any hesitation, then you
Yep.
might need to consider asking someone else. But if not, give them some time, give them a month out. And
Yeah. My
yeah,
favorite line is, I'm not asking you now, but I'm asking you if in the near future, when I apply to law school, would it be cool if I asked you for a letter of recommendation?
yeah,
People love, it's a beautiful thing because people are like, they appreciate that they don't have to do it this instant, but they want to say yes. So they say yes. And then you go, okay, cool. Well, I'll just, if it's okay, I'll just email that over to you. And then you did
yeah.
ask them now, even though you said you weren't going to ask them now. It's a, it's a business
Yeah.
lie. That's fine.
No, but
Okay.
it makes sense because people, right? It's so much easier to commit your future self than your current self.
Yep.
I'll start my diet tomorrow.
Yeah. And they want to do it. They legitimately want to help you. Otherwise, you're
Mhm.
asking the wrong person.
Yeah.
They just don't want to do it this instant. So if you give them that little potential, it's not right now, this second, but I just want to know, if is it okay if I ask you when I start my application stuff, is that okay? And they'll enthusiastically say yes. And then because they're so enthusiastic, oh, well, okay, then I'll get that over to you right away then. you know,
Yeah.
great. Perfect. Ball rolling. Um, Most importantly, is it possible to secure a future job as an attorney with this firm before I attend law school? If so, when should I try to approach that request and how should I go about doing it? Do people sign contracts for this sort of thing? And how can I be sure that I would be compensated appropriately if I did? Whoa, these are a lot of forward looking questions. What do you think?
Well, I don't know much about this area, but I would first start. Is there anyone in the firm who's done that? Then you could easily follow their path. If it's
Yeah.
new, then you just have to start gently. Start with
Well,
one question, not all these.
yeah, it seems to me like a handshake deal with your boss.
Yeah, that seems much more natural and less like, oh, we need to sign an agreement. Plus,
Then
you're
you don't have to
locking
worry
yourself into
about your
something.
compensation and all that shit. I mean, nobody's
Yeah.
going to want to make a contract for your legal services 4 or 5 years from now. That's nuts. I don't,
And I
I'm
don't know that you want
guessing,
to do that. You really want to lock
right,
yourself into this firm and then be
right.
like 3 years from now,
Yeah.
oh, actually, I want to do something else, but I can't.
I would have a beer with your boss. And if you get that, it's like a handshake agreement, like, hey, when I graduate law school, do you think there would be a job for me here? And if they're like, oh, absolutely. I mean, and they might even bring it up like, hey, you know what? Boy, we would love to keep you around. You're going to go to law
Yeah.
school? Well, shit, you could be filing these things yourself. You could be signing these
Yep.
documents without anybody approving your work. You could be whatever. And I would think that they might just be like, oh, absolutely. Yeah, let's do that. Sounds like a great plan. But then it doesn't need to be a contract and a like commitment, pre-negotiated salary and all that. My last
Yeah.
question is simply, what elements from my background are most impressive to include in my personal statement, if any? Obviously, I won't include the bit about partying, but should I make an addendum with a vague bullshit excuse for that semester? What do you think about a vague bullshit excuse, Ben?
No, not a vague bullshit excuse. If you don't have a good excuse, then you don't make one. Instead, you just say, hey, this is my GPA after I figured things out my freshman year or something like that.
All right. This last paragraph is too long. A is still studying, says hashtag praise the demon. Good luck, A. Get the best LSAT score you can. I would definitely focus on your legal experience. All this other stuff happened when you were younger. I would definitely not emphasize the bad stuff. I would emphasize the good stuff. And your best selling point is the fact that you currently handle insurance claims and would be very happy to practice this area of law,
Yeah.
even at that firm. Like you can write about that in your personal statement. Like I plan to go back to work at so and so law firm. Law schools will love that because they're like, oh, great. This isn't going to be an anchor on our employment numbers. This is going to be somebody who's going to actually help our employment numbers.
Yeah. And then you throw in that letter of recommendation from your boss to back up your claims that this is a real possibility. I mean, the boss would not say that they're going to hire you. They're just going to say how much they like what you've done for them and it will work.
Perfect.
Anyways, yeah, if you have questions, email the show at daily@lsatdemon.com. Thanks for listening.